The Forgotten Legacy. The storm raged across Haven Colony's eastern perimeter, battering the reinforced dome shields with relentless fury. Commander Kira Nash stood at the observation platform, watching electrical discharges illuminate the toxic atmosphere of Proxima Centauri's third planet. 20 years of leading this settlement had taught her patience, but even she had limits. "Status report," she called, not turning from the spectacle outside. Lieutenant Marcos slid his datapad across the console to her. "Shield integrity at 73%. The Agri-Domes report minimal damage. But there's something else you should see." Kira finally turned, noticing the tension in her second-in-command's shoulders. "What is it?" Deep scan detected something during the storm. The electrical interference briefly revealed a structure, buried 3 kilometers beneath the colony. "Natural formation." "No." Marcos tapped the datapad, revealing a 3-dimensional scan. "It's perfectly symmetrical. And it's made of materials not found in our geological surveys." Kira studied the image. After 3 generations of struggling on this harsh world, Haven's 4,000 colonists had explored less than 1/10 of the planet's surface. Finding something artificial was unprecedented. "Get Chief Engineer Tariq and a security team. We're going down there." 6 hours later, Kira stood before a massive door embedded in the bedrock, its seamless surface adorned with geometric patterns that seemed to shift under her gaze. The expedition team had discovered a tunnel network leading to this chamber, the construction far beyond their technological capabilities. "Any idea how to open it?" she asked. Chief Engineer Tariq ran his hand along the surface. "There's no visible mechanism. We've tried everything short of." The door suddenly illuminated, lines of blue light tracing the patterns as Tariq's palm touched a central node. The massive barrier silently retracted into the wall. "Touching it," he finished, stepping back in surprise. The chamber beyond was vast, filled with silent machinery. Pedestals bearing darkened control surfaces lined the walls, and at the center stood a raised platform with a single console. Motion-activated lighting. Security Chief Rivera noted as illumination followed their cautious advance. "This place has power after who knows how long." Kira approached the central console. "This is human technology." "But that's impossible. The colony ships arrived barely a century ago." "Actually," Tariq said, examining one of the wall panels, "based on the degradation patterns of these materials, I'd estimate this facility is at least 800 years old." "That can't be right. Humanity didn't achieve interstellar travel until the Great Exodus." Rivera's voice echoed from across the chamber. "Commander, you need to see this." A holographic display had activated, showing a human woman in a uniform Kira didn't recognize. The figure spoke, her voice clear despite centuries of silence. "Outpost designation: Proxima Refuge. Status: dormant protocol active. Identity verification required." Kira stepped forward. "I am Commander Kira Nash of Haven Colony." The hologram studied her for a moment. "Genetic profile confirms human lineage. Temporal displacement: approximately 800 years since last activation. Initiating orientation protocol." The chamber transformed around them as holographic displays activated, showing star charts and images of a civilization far more advanced than their own. "I am Director Ilara Voss, Special Projects Division of the Terran Confederation." The hologram continued. "If you are viewing this message, then humanity has finally returned to the stars, though not in the manner we had hoped." The next hour shattered everything Kira thought she knew about human history. According to the records, humanity had been a major galactic power 8 centuries ago, with colonies spanning hundreds of systems. Then came the Purge, a coordinated attack by a coalition of alien species who feared human expansion. Facing extinction, Director Voss explained, the Confederation enacted the Dormancy Protocol. "We abandoned our advanced outposts, buried our technology, and deliberately regressed our civilization. Earth and the core worlds were sacrificed to maintain the deception, while seed colonies were established in remote systems with falsified histories. Humanity would appear to be a newly emerged, primitive species, no longer a threat. Why? Kira asked, though she knew the hologram couldn't truly answer. Why hide who we were? To survive, Rivera murmured. They made us forget so our enemies would forget us too. The hologram continued. This facility is one of many reclamation points established to preserve our knowledge and technology until humanity could safely reclaim its heritage. The activation of this outpost has triggered a network response. Other facilities are now awakening across known space. A warning alarm suddenly blared from Marcos's comm unit. Commander, we've got an unidentified vessel approaching the planet. It's massive, and it's not responding to hails. The hologram of Director Voss flickered. Proximity alert. Non-human vessels detected. Initiating defense protocols. Defense protocols. Kira echoed. What defense? The facility hummed to life around them. Dormant systems activating in sequence. On the holographic display, they watched as a massive alien ship entered orbit around their world. Vessel classification. Vorex Dominion Dreadnought. The facility's automated systems announced. Threat assessment. Severe. Deploying countermeasures. What's a Vorex? Rivera asked. The question was answered moments later when the holographic display showed alien beings disembarking from smaller craft that had landed near the colony. They were tall, bipedal creatures with reflective carapaces and multiple upper limbs. The Vorex Dominion was a minor power during the Confederation era, the Voss hologram explained. They appear to have expanded considerably during humanity's absence. On the surface, the alien commander addressed the colony's emergency response team. The translation came through clearly on the facility's systems. This world is now claimed by the Dominion. You will submit to relocation. Resistance is futile. Your primitive weapons cannot harm us. Kira watched in horror as the aliens advanced on the colonists who had gathered to defend their home. We need to help them. Do we have weapons here? This facility was not designed as an armory. The hologram responded. However, the defense grid is operational. Activated. Now. Genetic authority confirmed. Deploying planetary defense system. Above, silent sentinels emerged from hidden silos across the planet's surface. Ancient weapons platforms awakening from centuries of slumber. The Vorex forces paused in confusion as the ground trembled beneath them. On the holographic display, Kira watched as energy beams lanced from the platforms, precision strikes disabling the alien shuttles without harming the colonists. The Vorex troops scattered, their superior confidence shattered by technology they couldn't comprehend. In orbit, the Dominion dreadnought found itself targeted by defensive satellites that had remained cloaked for centuries. Warning shots depleted its forward shields, sending a clear message. The Vorex commander is requesting communication, Marcos reported. Kira straightened her uniform. Put them through. The alien that appeared on the holographic display radiated fury despite its inhuman features. What trickery is this? Your colony was identified as a primitive settlement. Explain these defenses. This world is under human protection, Kira replied. I suggest you withdraw immediately. Humans are refugees, scavengers. You have no standing among the galactic powers. Kira glanced at Director Voss's hologram, drawing strength from the knowledge of what humanity had once been and could be again. That understanding is outdated, she said. Consider this an update to your records. Humanity has awakened. This colony stays. You leave. The Vorex commander hissed something untranslatable, then cut the communication. Minutes later, the dreadnought retreated from orbit. When the alien ship had gone, Kira turned back to the facility systems. What happens now? The hologram of Director Voss smiled. Now, Commander Nash, you bring humanity home. This facility contains what we called the Stellar Archive, the sum of human knowledge and technological achievement prior to the dormancy. With it, you can accelerate your colony's development and establish contact with other reclamation points. How many are there? 23 primary nodes were established, scattered throughout systems with conditions favorable for human habitation. If even half survived, it will be enough. Kira ran her hand over the central console, feeling the weight of history and possibility. And if the Vorex return with a larger force? They will, the hologram acknowledged. But by then, you won't be alone. The activation signal from this facility is already propagating through subspace. Other human colonies will discover their own buried legacies. The reclamation has begun. As Kira and her team prepared to return to the surface, carrying the first pieces of recovered technology, she paused at the chamber entrance. The hologram of Director Voss still stood at the center, a sentinel from the past who had kept faith with the future. "We won't waste this chance," Kira promised. "Humanity will return to the stars, not as conquerors, but as the civilization you hoped we would become." The hologram nodded. "That is all we ever wanted. Safe journey, Commander. The stars await." Above ground, Haven's colonists gathered around the artifacts Kira's team had brought from the facility, proof of an inheritance they never knew was theirs. As the toxic storm cleared, revealing a sky filled with stars, Kira felt something the colony had lacked for generations: hope. And somewhere, across the vast reaches of space, other facilities were awakening. Humanity was remembering. Humanity was returning. The awakening storm. 6 months after the activation of the Proxima refuge, the galaxy was changing. Kira stood on the bridge of the reclamation, a vessel constructed using technology from the Stellar Archive. What would have taken Haven's engineers decades to build had been completed in weeks with the guidance of the archive systems. "Status report on the Ta City approach," she ordered. Navigator Chen consulted her newly installed neural interface. "Transition to normal space in 3 minutes, Commander. Long-range scans show significant Dominion presence in the system." "As expected," Kira replied. "They're trying to reach the reclamation points before we do." The Vorex Dominion had not taken the revelation of humanity's hidden legacy quietly. After their retreat from Proxima, they had launched a systematic campaign to locate and destroy other human outposts before they could be activated. It had become a race across the stars, one that humanity was barely keeping pace with. "We've received a transmission from Haven," Communications Officer Patil announced. Chief Engineer Tariq reports that planetary defenses are fully operational. The colony can protect itself now. That, at least, was good news. Haven had transformed from a struggling settlement to a fortified world in the months since the refuge's activation. Similar reports had come from the 7 other human colonies that had discovered their own reclamation points. But there were still many more to find. The reclamation shuddered slightly as it emerged from faster-than-light travel. The view screen showed the Ta City system, its habitable 4th planet gleaming blue and green against the darkness. And in orbit around that world, 3 Dominion warships. "Life signs on the planet?" Kira asked. Science Officer Rice consulted her instruments. Approximately 4,000 human colonists, concentrated in a single settlement. There's also a Dominion ground force advancing on their position. "They're moving faster each time," Security Chief Rivera noted grimly. "They've learned what to look for." Kira studied the tactical display. The reclamation was advanced by current standards, but it couldn't challenge 3 Dominion warships directly. They needed allies. "Open a channel to the Novan representative," she ordered. The screen shifted to show a willowy, blue-skinned being with large, multifaceted eyes. The Novans were one of the few species who had responded positively to humanity's reemergence, perhaps because they too had suffered under Dominion expansion. "Speaker Thalasi," Kira greeted. "We've confirmed Dominion forces at Ta City. Request immediate assistance per our agreement." "The fleet is already en route, Commander Nash," the alien replied. "But they cannot arrive for another 6 hours. You must hold until then." "Understood." Nash out. Kira turned to her crew. "We can't wait for the Novans. Deploy the stealth shuttles. Rivera, you'll lead the ground team to locate the reclamation point. I'll keep the Dominion occupied up here. That's a suicide mission, Rivera objected. Those warships will destroy us the moment we engage. They'll try. Kira allowed herself a small smile. But the Stellar Archive contained more than just technology. It had tactical data on every species known to the Confederation, including Vorex weaknesses. 2 hours later, Rivera's team had successfully infiltrated the Ta City colony, evading Dominion patrols as they searched for signs of a hidden facility. The colonists, initially suspicious, became eager allies once they understood the mission. Our ancestors spoke of a sacred cave system, colony leader Diallo explained as she led them through underground tunnels. No one has ever found anything unusual there, but it's always been important to our traditions. Religious practices often preserved important knowledge during the dormancy, Rivera observed. Your ancestors might have been leaving clues for future generations. The cave opened into a massive natural cavern where hundreds of colonists had taken shelter from the Dominion forces. At the far end stood a smooth wall inscribed with the same geometric patterns Rivera had seen at the Proxima refuge. Direct hit, Tactical Officer Yamamoto reported. Their primary propulsion is disabled. The other 2 vessels are moving to intercept. Execute pattern VOS 3, Kira ordered, naming the maneuver after the director who had preserved humanity's legacy. The reclamation spun on its axis, releasing a spread of autonomous drone fighters. Another technology reclaimed from the archive. The drones swarmed the Dominion ships, their small size and erratic movements, confounding the aliens' targeting systems. They weren't powerful enough to cause significant damage, but they didn't need to be. They only needed to buy time. On the surface, Rivera placed his palm against the central node of the hidden door. It illuminated immediately, recognizing his human DNA, and the massive barrier slid open to reveal another reclamation point. This one even larger than the facility on Proxima. Outpost designation, Ta City Sanctuary, announced a holographic figure, not Director Voss this time, but an older man in a different uniform. Status, dormant protocol active. Identity verification confirmed. Welcome, descendants of Earth. As the facility awakened, Rivera felt the ground tremble. Outside the cave network, hidden defense platforms emerged from the planet's surface, their ancient weapons targeting the Dominion ground forces. The aliens scattered in disarray as precision strikes disabled their equipment without harming the colonial structures. The planetary defense grid is online, Rivera reported to Kira. Stellar Archive access established. But there's something else here, Commander. Something big. In orbit, the Dominion warships suddenly broke off their attack on the reclamation, as their sensors detected a massive energy buildup from the planet's surface. A section of Ta City's northern ocean began to churn, water cascading away as something enormous rose from the depths. What in the void is that? Lieutenant Marcos whispered as the object appeared on their view screen. Rising majestically from the planet was a vessel of human design, easily 5 times the size of the reclamation. Its sleek lines and gleaming hull spoke of an aesthetic both familiar and alien, the style of the Terran Confederation, preserved for centuries beneath the waves. Identification confirmed, the ship's automated systems announced across all frequencies. CS Prometheus, Confederation Navy. Reactivation protocols complete. Standing by for command authorization. Kira stared at the massive vessel in awe. This changes everything. 3 weeks later, representatives from all known human colonies gathered in orbit around Ta City aboard the Prometheus. The recovered battleship had become both a symbol and a headquarters for what was now being called the Reclamation Council. 9 reclamation points recovered, Rivera reported to the assembled leaders. 14 more confirmed, but not yet accessible. The Dominion has destroyed at least 3 that we know of. And they're gathering a massive fleet at Rigel, Kira added. Our Novan allies report at least 30 warships, with more arriving daily. Colony leader Diallo, now representing Ta City in the council, leaned forward. Why are they so determined to stop us? We're hardly a threat to their empire, even with the recovered technology. The answer came from an unexpected source. A hologram activated at the center of the chamber. An amalgamation of all the custodian AIs from the recovered reclamation points, forming a composite intelligence that carried the collective memory of the Confederation. The Vorex fear what they remember, the hologram explained. Before the Purge, humanity had discovered something that terrified the coalition species, the truth about the origin of intelligent life in this galaxy. The hologram expanded to show a star map. Earth was not just our homeworld. It was the source, the cradle of all humanoid life in this sector of space. Genetic evidence recovered by Confederation scientists proved that humans were the progenitor species, seeding the galaxy in a prehistoric age of advancement before some cataclysm forced us to begin again on Earth. The gathered leaders murmured in shock. The Vorex and their allies did not want this knowledge spread. The hologram continued. It undermined their claims of genetic superiority and their religious doctrines. The Purge was as much about erasing this truth as it was about eliminating a rival power. Kira stood, looking out at the assembled representatives of humanity's scattered children. Then our mission is clear. We must recover the final reclamation point, the one established on Earth itself. Earth is a toxic wasteland, someone objected. It was devastated during the Purge. That's what we were meant to believe, Kira said. But what if that too was part of the deception? What if Earth, like everything else, was hidden rather than destroyed? The council chamber erupted in debate, but the decision was ultimately unanimous. A fleet would be assembled, the Prometheus, the Reclamation, and ships contributed by allied species who had suffered under Dominion rule. They would make for the Sol system to reclaim humanity's birthright and expose the truth that had been buried for 8 centuries. The Battle of Sol began at the Heliopause, where Dominion sentries detected the approaching human fleet and summoned reinforcements from Rigel. By the time Kira's vessels reached the orbit of Jupiter, they faced the largest alien armada assembled in centuries. They're committing their entire fleet, Rivera observed from his tactical station aboard the Prometheus. They must be desperate to keep us from reaching Earth. Kira studied the tactical display, or whatever is there. Navigator Chen, status of the final jump. Calculations complete, Commander. But we'll need to break through their line to reach the optimal position. The Novan and Kateri ships, representatives of species who had joined humanity's cause, moved to engage the Dominion's flanks, while the Prometheus led the central thrust toward Earth. The ancient battleship's weapons were devastating, cutting through Dominion shields with ease, but even the mighty Confederation vessel couldn't face such numbers alone. The Reclamation took heavy damage protecting a group of transports, forcing Marcos to order an emergency evacuation. Kira watched from the Prometheus as her former command drifted, burning, into the embrace of Mars' gravity well. "We've lost 14 ships," Rivera reported grimly. "The Dominion is taking heavier losses, but they can afford them. We can't." Kira made her decision. "All ships, execute final jump. Get us to Earth." The remains of the human fleet vanished from normal space, reappearing in orbit around a blue-green world that looked nothing like the devastated husk they had expected. "Life signs?" Kira asked, staring at the view screen in wonder. "Billions," Science Officer Rice replied, her voice trembling. "Human, and others. There's a thriving civilization down there." Before they could process this revelation, Earth's orbital defense grid activated, not the ancient Confederation technology they had encountered at other reclamation points, but something newer, more evolved. A voice came across all frequencies. "Unidentified vessels, you have entered restricted space. State your intentions immediately." Kira stepped forward. "This is Commander Kira Nash of Haven Colony, representing the Reclamation Council. We are humanity returning to its homeworld." A long pause, then, genetic verification confirmed. "Welcome home, cousins. Orbital defenses standing down. Please follow transmitted coordinates to New Geneva." As the Prometheus descended through Earth's atmosphere, the truth became clear. Earth had never been destroyed. Instead, it had been hidden behind the most sophisticated cloaking technology ever devised, its existence erased from galactic records. While refugee ships carried some humans away with false histories, billions more remained on the homeworld, developing their civilization in isolation, protected by the illusion of their own destruction. The Dominion fleet arrived hours later, only to find themselves outmatched by Earth's defensive capabilities, and the combined forces of humanity reunited. The battle ended not with destruction, but with communication, a forced reckoning with the truth that the Vorex and their allies had tried to bury. 1 year later, Kira stood at a podium in New Geneva's Grand Assembly, addressing representatives from 200 worlds, human colonies and alien civilizations alike. The Galactic Concord, as it was now called, had replaced the fractured politics of Dominion rule. 8 centuries ago, our ancestors made a painful choice, she began. They hid our light from the galaxy, buried our achievements, and allowed us to forget who we were, all to ensure our survival. Today, we honor their sacrifice by remembering not just what humanity was, but what we can be. She gestured to the delegates. We return to the stars not as conquerors, but as connectors. The truth about our shared origins doesn't make humans superior. It makes us responsible. We are family, all of us, shaped by the same cosmic heritage. Above the assembly hall, view screens showed the ongoing work at reclamation points across known space, where ancient technology was being carefully integrated with modern developments. Ships bearing the combined insignia of Earth and the colony worlds traveled between systems, rebuilding connections severed by centuries of separation. The dormancy is over, Kira concluded. The awakening has begun. And together, we will build a galaxy worthy of those who preserved our future by hiding our past. As the assembly rose in applause, Kira thought of Haven Colony, the harsh world where she had grown up believing humanity was just beginning its journey among the stars. They had been wrong in one sense, but right in another. This was a new beginning. Humanity had returned, not just to reclaim its legacy, but to fulfill the promise that had been preserved through centuries of patient waiting. The promise of a future where no species needed to fear extinction at the hands of another, where the truth of their shared origins united rather than divided. The stars had awaited their return, and now, at last, humanity was answering.